Thank you so much for joining us for an interview today. Let's just kick off with a bit about your background. So I understand you've had a bit of a non-traditional or non-linear career path.
Right.
So we're wondering, how has your background in electrical engineering helped in your role as CFO at Booz Allen? And how did you find this transition from the more technical side to the more financial side?
Sure. Well, I think my training as an engineer really fundamentally taught me how to break down problems and solve problems. Mm-hmm. And so whether it's an engineering challenge or a financial challenge, my training really has afforded me the opportunity to think about it in its piece parts, think about how best to solve the problem, what resources to involve, and so that's where it really all starts from. Mm-hmm. In addition to that, with my MBA as well as other experiences, the problem is always going to be there. But how you include people, how you make it a team effort, how you motivate people, all that comes into the situation as well. So whether it's a technical or a financial challenge, my training as an engineer really gave me that foundation of how to approach it.
So it's like really transferable, like the skills.
Very much so, very much so, and it helps that both areas involve numbers, and I've always been comfortable working with numbers. So. That part was probably the least transformative.
Awesome. And we also understand you spent some time on Wall Street.
I did.
Before returning back to Booz Allen. So what are some of the similarities and differences between the two work cultures? And how has this experience directed or influenced your approach to your work now?
Sure. Well, I was only at Goldman Sachs for about 2.5 years as an associate in their financial institutions group. And what drew me to both companies was really, at the time, there were private partnerships. They both have or had a very strong team orientation, and we're also very collaborative. So whether it was in Wall Street or whether it's where I am today, those attributes have always, attracted me to a company and to its culture. On top of that, they're also value-based institutions, and so in a highly stressed environment, to always keep your eyes on your company's values and being a decent human being and treating people with respect. Both companies had that, and that's what attracted me to it. So obviously the nature of the work quite different, but the people were terrific or are terrific at both companies.
Mm-hmm. Another question we have is, as globalization becomes increasingly important, which sectors should we watch out for, and what steps has Booz Allen taken to stay on top of these trends?
Sure. Well, we've had in our history quite a number of changes. If you go way back when we were both commercial and federal, we had quite an international company, and at that time we were constantly considering what was going on globally, geopolitically, economically, and then obviously with the industries and the companies within those that we supported, how best to give counsel to them. In 2008, we split the company. We spun off our then commercial business. We went public in 2010 and really went back in time to just being a federal-oriented government services contractor. Mm-hmm. We have since added a global commercial business to the company, and we are in North America, the Middle East region, and Southeast Asia. And so when the word global comes up, there are any number of things that now we really factor into our decision making. Mm-hmm. In the Middle East, where we've got a lot of diversity and conflict going on, our issues range from how best to support our clients in that region, our employees' welfare and safety, and then what pieces of work we want to do and what pieces of work we'd rather not do. And the same could be said for Southeast Asia. So we were really looking at a number of factors, not the least of which are the current China-U.S. Trade negotiations and how that impacts the companies that we support. And appreciating that there's always a difference of opinion, different ways to attack a problem, and all of that just really creates a rich environment for working and collaborating.
And so kind of in the same vein, Booz Allen is one of the biggest security contractors in the US. So how has the development of technology impacted your investment or the impact in these sectors of defense and intelligence?
Sure. Well, technology is sort of advancing and overnight, and so to keep pace with that, you really need to have a workforce that has the requisite skills to apply the technology and the insights from that technology to your clients. Cybersecurity is such an area that we have a long history providing support to our intelligence agencies. That has really led to an appreciation for all forms of cybersecurity, but also advances in what was called machine learning, now artificial intelligence. But without a doubt, all the technology is requiring more and more integration of multiple capabilities and skills. So there's certainly the engineering, technical part of it, but it's also human capital and strategy and program management, data analytics. All that is coming together to support our clients, whether it's defense, intelligence, or civilian federal agencies. And with this integration and advancement in technology, it also really opens up your eyes to what else is going on in the world. So for hackers or enemy-backed adversaries, you really see and appreciate both the goodness as well as, unfortunately, some of the bad things that can happen. And so we're always advising our clients and working with them as to what are the solutions to mitigate that risk and how best to protect critical infrastructure elements as well as support the missions that they may have.
And so Booz Allen also recently announced an AI platform. So could you speak a little more on that and what you're hoping to achieve with it?
Sure. So we're super excited about the possibilities that this may bring, not only for our current clients, but also for new markets that right now we don't support, but eventually we hope to. As I said a minute ago, we've always been supporting the federal government in lots of different ways, and artificial intelligence is one of those that we support them in today. But we're also looking to see how to extend that technology and that support beyond the federal market, and MODSI, which was the announcement, is such a platform. So early stages, and we'll see where that goes as it matures, but the opportunity to open up new markets, a different way of working, transferring our insights from one sector to the other, all really has us super excited.
That's awesome. Are there any concerns regarding that, or are you just playing it by ear for now?
There are always sensitivities. One is such that if you afford this technology to everyone, it may also be to competitors. And so we'll work our way through those issues, and maybe it ultimately isn't an issue, but this is sort of the dynamic with technology is that once it's out there, everyone has access to it and everyone's able to use it, and how it is used and hopefully used in a knowledgeable manner, it's great. So we want to make sure that we don't have any sort of unintended consequences.
So let's take a step back. So as a CFO, what is your current goal at the moment for the company, and what steps are you taking to realize this?
As succinctly as I could say it, it's the overall financial viability of the company, and hopefully in a growing posture, and doing it in a compliant manner. We are a heavily regulated company, so a relationship with our regulators as well as being compliant in that is also important. But the financial integrity, strength of the company, and operationally to financially is sort of paramount in my thinking, what keeps me awake at night.
Okay, and finally, in the past you've been an advocate for asking for help and not having the fake it till you make it kind of approach.
Right.
So what are some advice you can give to students on how to ask for help and creating those meaningful like mentor relationships?
Well, I think it begins with an attitude. I was always raised that there were no stupid questions, and make sure you understand what is asked of you and how to execute that to the best of your abilities. And so very early in my career, I sort of approached all things that way. I would ask for help and maybe at times even annoy some folks with all my questions, but at the end of the day, it's what has allowed me to execute and be successful. And so with not so new role of being the CFO, the first thing I did was to ask for help and meet with people that I had either grown to respect or was aware of, or just looking to build a relationship. And I have found that in my career, most people are very open to providing help and guidance, and see that as a good thing to do as a corporate citizen. And I've been the beneficiary of that.
Awesome. So that concludes all of our questions for
Okay.
today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you.
Good to be here.